2017, and I love The Witcher 3.
I also have no degrees in historical anything, actually. I have a background in sciences, specifically chemistry. So for me, it was an outlet to have my artistic side. I cannot sew to save my life. I lied. I can sew a little bit, but not very much. I love upgrading what I have at home or what's on the internet, something that's better. I started with big armor builds back when Warbler was everything in 2014, and I also really love Witcher 3.
All the qualification you really need to start cosplaying, right?
Love of the game.
A love of something. But I did want to mention that I can sew now. I learned to sew from non-traditional sources, but I can sew. I sewed this.
And this.
And that. So in this panel, what have we got? We are both going to go through our processes in a sort of parallel fashion. Different roads to getting to our end goal of cosplaying Yennefer. Both of these roads are passing by milestones of planning and budget, the creative hands-on part of the process, our wrap-up, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we changed, and finally, we will definitely have time for Q&A because I think this is going to run short. And my laptop is also, there's a small chance it will run out of battery. But first, a note on cause positivity. We are both really into this panel idea, and thank you so much to Bea for the idea. Because I think a lot of times nowadays, people like to create some sort of hierarchy, and that's not what we're about. We are about having fun while we cosplay in the way that you want to cosplay, in the way that you want to have fun. We both just wanted to show our love for this character and for this game, and we both got there in a way that was fun for us. And that is really the ethos of our panel, which is there are so many different ways to get there, and both of us did something really creative, unique, original, and fun. So.
I mean, you basically touched on it. It's a lot of, as Amelia says, it's that hierarchy of like, oh, well, you didn't hand stitch everything, it's not cosplay. Or, oh, that's not accurate, it's not cosplay. No, it's of course it's cosplay, It doesn't matter if you made it, or if you went to Sailors and you got all your clothes, or, Amazon, doesn't matter, it's still cosplay. So this kind of what we wanted to bring to this panel is that it doesn't matter if you hand stitch and you weave your own fabric, or if you, which people do, they're crazy, or if you go to Sailors and look through your closet and find something that kind of looks like that costume. It doesn't matter. It's the character and the love that you bring is really what it's about.
Unless you're entering a craftsmanship competition, in which case do make your costume, because that's what that's about. And this is how we became friends. We both love The Witcher. We were cosplaying the same character. We were like, yeah, let's be friends. All right, nitty gritty, planning and budget, money, not fun part. So first we have to sort of plan out what we need to do, what we want to do.
Yeah, so we have the multiple pieces of Yennefer's costume. You can see it's kind of in depth. So you have the wig, you have the choker, a white shirt, a black doublet, a black fur collar, black boots with fur, sash and eaglets.
Eglets. Those are the little metal tips that you put on laces, similar to the plastic tips that you get on shoelaces, and they make it easier to put a floppy rope through a little hole when you're lacing stuff up.
Can you tell us who's seamstress and I'm not? Black trousers and these unique tall boots. This is the overall design of Yennefer.
And thank you very much to the video game studio, CD Projekt Red, for posting this cosplay guide. So, we're at the planning stages. What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? What factors led you to choose a scratch build versus a base piece to modify? In my little triangle of scope, cost, and time, the method that I chose is expensive and time-consuming, but it entertained me for months and even years. Some factors that I was particularly considering was that entertainment factor. I just wanted to have an ongoing project that I would continuously work on and do a lot of different things with my hands. I wanted to learn how to create some of these things. I wanted to sew really good trousers for the first time. I wanted to work with fur for the little collar piece. I wanted to do those little ribbons on the sleeve. I found them fascinating. I also wanted to make sure that there was a really good fit. And I'm suspicious of everything. I'm suspicious of when I buy or order something. I just think I can do it better, which is not always correct. But I wanted to make sure that my garments in the end would be fitted to my body, and what better way to do it than construct them myself on my body. So those were my main factors.
I was the opposite. At this point, I love The Witcher. They have 3 main females, women. Triss, which is a redhead, and I love her very much. Ciri, and Yennefer. Yennefer was the last one I needed to do. So for me, it was like, last check off of this box. So for me, I was looking at more of, I want to save time because I want to get this, out. Because during COVID, I also do. So I wanted to get this out. So for me, time and as well like cost. I wanted it to be pretty cheap because she wasn't my favorite character in the book. I'm sorry. But I wanted it to be something that is quick to do and pretty cheap, which means the quality isn't as great as someone like Amelia who hand sews everything. So,
but it did the job. All right, so I went into my emails for this. This is what I could find of my budget, and it's not inclusive of everything. Broken down by every little costume piece, and I might read out a little bit because I feel like the screen is a little small for those of you in back. Sorry about that. But I spent $60 on the wig, $30 on the fabric for the shirt, and you can buy a shirt for less than $30 if you thrift, right? So we're already going over. For the doublet, the black jacket thing, there's a lot of trim in that doublet, and trim is always just, it adds up. So in addition to specific fabric that I spent months looking for and sourcing, we've got faux leather trim, we've got ribbons, we've got a lining, and so the doublet materials, just for this one little short sleeve jacket, came out to about $150, not even including the notions that I already had. Keep in mind this is happening over months and years, so it's like it's doable, but still, huge consideration, right? This was something that I planned for. Fur collar. The fur is so expensive, it was $50 for this little fur collar. My sash was $35 with the aglets, the metal tips. I sourced them from a seller on Etsy who does those specifically and medievally for like reenactors. Trousers, $32. Boots, boots on sale plus add-on boot cover materials came out to $100. They have like 10 buckles on the boots, so it's just adding up. This list does not include the gloves, which I had, the choker, which I had, and like the specific necklace, the pendant, the corset, which I ended up making out of my own scrap materials because I decided the jacket needed a little bit of structure underneath for me to feel comfy in it, and the pattern, the sewing pattern, which I already had. Total, we are probably looking around $500, again, spread over months. But still, like, that was, I still feel like I bought smartly, I waited for sales, and yet, if you're making it yourself, it's such a huge consideration.
Once again, I was the opposite. So, I got my wig off Amazon, about $39. Majority of the costume I bought off a site called Make Costumes. And that was $83. I went through my emails and found out exactly the price. The white undershirt, Amazon, $19. So yeah, I literally paid less for you to make the material for your shirt. The boots I got at Savers, about $10. And a necklace was about $5. I don't remember where I got it from. So my total was about $157. So quite a bit difference in price from buying.
It sounds better to me. All right, in terms of timing, I actually started this process thinking about it, planning making pieces in 2018, and had a finished costume in 2021. The boots were a challenge for me. They're very tall boots with buckles, and they're fitted up to the thigh, so it's a unique pattern which I had to make. So I ended up iterating that and making it, and using it between different characters as well, because the video game studio uses the same boot model on 2 different characters, thank goodness. So I started with the boots, and then started sourcing materials, making other Witcher costumes, coming back to this. I would say I did intensive construction through October and November of those years back then, who remembers, and pretty, like, spending a few hours every day. So, like, intensive work.
Mine was all pretty fast. November 2020, I purchased the majority of the costume. December, finished the rest of the costume. And then by March, I weathered it and did my photo shoot.
Ooh. In terms of process, once we got into getting our hands on these things, what are some of the skills and challenges that defined this creative process for each of us, is our question. Amelia, that's me. One thing I was really interested in for this jacket in particular is it has a very unique structure in terms of the different fabric pieces that you're putting together to get this 3-dimensional shape. There are no commercial patterns that have seam lines that do what those red lines there are doing. And so I knew that since I was going for accuracy and detail, and that was how I was going to have fun for those few months, I was going to make a pattern that allowed me to place the trim over those specific seams and not have other seams visible where they're not supposed to be. So what I did for that was I took this McCall's pattern, which is based on Once Upon a Time. That is a great pattern for fantasy costumes. I've used it repeatedly for different looks. So I took that pattern. You'll notice it has seams going from the shoulder over the bust to the waist, and that's what gets that shaping in the front. So I sewed that together to my measurements, and then transformed that seam by drawing a line, cutting into it, and making a dart, which is what you see on the photo on the top that is closest to me right now. And it worked pretty well. There are very few historical, so one thing that appeals to me about The Witcher is the costumes all are they're historically inspired to more or less some extent. So one thing that appealed, I did a little bit of research onto, like, do doublets like this actually exist? Not really. We have one example of a 16th century pattern doublet that looks a bit like this, but you can see the shapes are pretty different. I'm working on a modern block that is pretty square. It has all of those, like, triangles, square angles, whereas the historical pattern is round. It's a really beautiful round shape. So that was part of my process, doing a bit of research, just getting a bit of background. And I'm very happy with the result. I hacked my pattern and got the style lines that I wanted and got pretty close to the reference, which is satisfying. The sleeve. This is the part that I really liked. It's so unique, it's so cool. You sew together all of these different types of trim and you make something very kind of cool and creative. Black ribbon on a top stitch on top of white ribbon, folded and sewn into that particular shape, and then sewed down and seam covered, not a seam, the top stitching covered with the ribbon. That is what a sleeve looks like flat. If you haven't seen a flat sleeve, like FYI, I think it's kind of interesting. Okay. This process was defined by making everything from scratch. I made the pants, I made the shirt, I made this fur collar. I remade the shirt. Thankfully, I had enough fabric. But when you're making this, when you're going through the process of making it yourself, there's an element of risk. My risk, I unfortunately wasn't happy with the first shirt that I made, and I had to make it and wear it in order to decide that, and I remade it. a bit wasteful of materials. I'm not the proudest of it, but in the end I've worn this costume various times. It's one of my most worn. I commissioned some pewter buttons from a fellow fan who knows how to cast pewter buttons, and they are screen accurate, and I love them. Ended up making the corset for structure under the jacket. I just like making corsets, so that was fun, but it was also a little bit finicky. Okay, that's enough from me for now.
She's so talented, I can't stand it. So if you are a modifier, you know that looking at the picture of like the model until your eyes bleed is that what you do. Like you look at like where is the stitching, what, where is it embroidery, what is it, etc. So I did so much research, and this is my screen literally. I would have one side be the picture of the model, and the other side be looking at shopping. So in this case, I looked at a ton of other shops, well-known cosplay makers, and talk a little more. So I really want to focus on the details, like I said. It's just super important when you're trying to modify things, because you want to do as little as possible. I am a queen of just lazy. I want to do as little as possible. So looking at the details, find well-known cosplay sites. Like I said, the costume is great, but not always great. There's Doki Doki Cosplay, you've heard of them, they're really great quality. There's, Pro Cosplay for superhero costumes. There's so many of them. So look at those really already made and known sites first, as well as stock people. Like I love going on Instagram and being like, Yennefer cosplayer, and looking and trying to find ones that I like. I'm like, ooh, I love her style. Oh, she tagged make costumes. Okay, we go there. So, do a lot of research. And I said, use that zoom feature, really zoom in on the material of the costume you want to purchase, because sometimes it looks great from 10 feet, and you zoom in, and you're like, what is that material they're using? That pleather looks awful. So really, zoom in, as well as determine where you can upgrade. For example, I have this costume here. The boots that they were trying to sell were, not even close to being good. Or, sometimes they have for example, I did Doctor Strange, and my Doctor Strange cloak was awful. I'm like, oh, I can upgrade that. Trying to find things where you can, buy the majority of the costume on one site and maybe upgrade later on at other sites.
I do want to say, as somebody who likes to look at stitching, who appreciates quality patterning, many of these costume sites do really good patterning and really good stitching, to the point where I look at them and I'm like, why did I make this? So I just want to put in a plug for how good they are now at making these replicas.
So what is the #1 way to upgrade pre-made or bought costumes for pennies? Anyone know? It's weathering. We love weathering.
Airbrushing count?
Yes, it does. So weathering will make everything look just better. So heads up, this is not Yennefer, but kind of give you an example of how different a costume will look weathered. So this is a Harley Quinn costume. You can tell I really like Harley Quinn. So on the other side is a pre-made costume, and then my finished suit. So I took my airbrush like a crazy person all over it. I saw in the detail that she had a seam right here that I need to hand sew. So I went and I cut it up and I hand sewed it, I added a Love Wins painted to it. So little pieces that overall, the costume's still pre-made, but I upgraded it. Same with the belt. What is that weird pleather nonsense? What is that? It was a gun holster, and it didn't even hold my gun. So I went and I took foam, and I created that simple, maybe a couple hours to make out of foam, painted it, held my gun, and looked fantastic. So that weathering, you want to make things and modify them, honestly, it is the way to go. We love weathering. So same with upgrading the small pieces. You can really change a full costume by just doing some simple upgrades. For example, looking at the belts. Belts are always made cheaply for some reason. Looking at other simple things you can get easily off Amazon that is better quality. So I have all together a little side by side with the pre-made one and then me. So upgrading the wig to a nice lace front makes a huge difference, and not that expensive, honestly. The boots, getting some savers. You know, I probably could have added some belts to it because she looked much better on Amelia's. But, you know, looking at what you can upgrade, the white shirt they gave me, I think was absolutely just thin and awful. Amazon, you know, get a white t-shirt. So, see what you can weather, what you can do, honestly makes a big difference.
Yeah, if you're upgrading pieces, I would say skin layers can be so important to make sure it's a nice, like a soft fiber that just feels okay on your skin. That would be something, like even if it's not so visible, it can be so helpful for comfort in the long run.
Yeah.
We're doing great on time.
I also talk fast.
And
I
you're doing
apologize.
great staying awake as far as I can tell, so thank you. Wrap up. What are you really happy with, and what didn't go the way you hoped? I'm really happy with it. I'm so happy with it, and I'm so happy with this photo shoot I was able to do with my friend Hugo's camera. I felt for the first time that I channeled this character who is not particularly similar to me in the way she looks or the way she acts. So that was like a huge accomplishment as a cosplayer. And a huge upgrade from my first attempt, where I did actually, this is from 2017, my first try, my first cosplay, when I knew what cosplay was. And I sewed a bit, but also closet cosplayed a lot of it, and I was just so happy with it, and it was a really good challenge for me at the time. But loving the continuing to love this character through the years, I said, I can do it again, I can do it better, I have more skills now, I can learn more skills doing this, and so that is what I am happiest with in terms of this sort of continuing evolution of Yennefer.
So for me, I also usually don't wear a black wig or wear dark makeup or anything like that, which is, and I really enjoyed it. I did this photo shoot with my lovely husband in the back during COVID in the snow in a castle, and it just felt really cool. Am I happy with it overall? Yeah, I think pretty good. Definitely some pieces that I'm looking back at these photos, I'm like, I forgot to upgrade that belt, what did I do? You know, definitely always you can improve on things, looking back on stuff. So overall, very happy. Definitely looking at, I want to improve, you know, get a different belt. I mean, not make a belt, I don't want to make a belt. But I could buy a new belt that's a better quality, that's not like a different pleather. And same with my gloves that had some really weird fur on it that I would want to change. But yeah, pretty happy.
Well, that reminds me, one thing I don't love about my costume is my gloves, which they came out a little bit too short. But I haven't changed them out. They're good enough for now.
So this is my final note on what is cosplay. As I talked previously, this hierarchical thing going on. I'm changing my mind. No, cosplay is if you wear lingerie and a wig, if you wear a pre-made costume and a wig, if you don't wear a wig and you spray paint your hair, don't spray paint, paint color your hair, that's cosplay. If you show up in a t-shirt with the character's face on it, sure, that could be cosplay. Cosplay is whatever you want it to be. Like, honestly, or you hand make everything. That's why I want to house this panel and really show that it doesn't matter how you make a cosplay, it's still cosplay. And I love today I noticed a lot of young cosplayers out there walking around the convention, and my heart just sings because they're so excited, and they put so much effort and they made these costumes, and or you went to Savers and you hand-picked these, like, yes, this screams Agatha, this screams, and it's like, yes, I love it so much. So if you sew it, if you make it, if you buy things, it's still cosplay. You are still cosplaying, and
there's so many different types of creativity in this hobby, from the research and planning, to the making, to the finding, the sourcing, to the wearing and the presentation. We love it all.
Yeah. So that is our final outdoor panel on Make and Modify.
We have some time for questions. When were we supposed to end?
You can take 5 minutes, I think. Oh, no.
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. So much time. 5 minutes for questions.
Well, more than that, I don't know. I think we have a while.
This is us. Please feel free to stick around.
Any questions? I'm also open to answer. Go ahead.
What is the skill that you find something to put behind that's really worth it?
Ooh, honestly, for me, it's a matter of how passionate am I about the character. Honestly, they said Yennefer, I was like, but there's some costumes I've spent so much time, so much money on. It's like, because you really want to, really embody it. So it honestly depends on your passion, so that's what I'm gonna say.
Corollary to that, when you have the passion, you put in the time. And I think a lot of time is going to be spent on research of some kind. Thank you to my friend Silhouette Cosplay for pointing this out in a way that I found really approachable. But research is going to be your best friend, whether it is in terms of looking at other cosplayers, seeing how they made something, seeing where they sourced something, just having that passion and time to just sit down, think about it, and go through a lot of sources.
You guys talked a lot about hierarchy, and other things there's a false hierarchy in cosplay. Another one that I've noticed is like how screen accurate you are versus putting your own spin on it. So where have you guys found like, hey, this might not be 100% screen accurate, but physics in a video game are super not real life. I can put my own spin on this and make it real. Like where have you found moments to do that sort of thing?
Comfort for me is the number one.
Yeah.
Attachments are the number two. So when I'm always trying to, and they're related, I'm always trying to figure out how to be comfortable when I put the clothes on my body. And sometimes that does mean changing proportions. Like if you have armor, then making sure that you have enough space between pieces so that you can actually bend your knees. Or like not doing plates on your butt so you can actually sit down. So comfort is my personal line.
I still try to be as accurate as possible. So I come from the 501st Legion world, where you want to be as accurate as possible, which is why I do an insane amount of research and looking at weird things and zooming in. So I try to be as much as possible. Like I said, with that Harley Quinn I had photo, she has a back that really just like sits on her back, and I'm like, how am I gonna do this? So I try to use some magnets to make it work. So I mean, I try my best to make it happen, but at some point you kind of gotta be like, okay, this is weird video game physics, I can't do this. But I try to be as accurate as I can.
Great news, we actually have more time for questions than I thought. We're actually ending, we have 15 minutes.
Oh, nice.
But don't feel pressured, you can also leave.
And also, if you want to get any sites from me, if you have any, so both of our DMs are open, or you can talk to us. I hate gatekeeping. I think it's stupid in the cosplay community. If you like, hey, I love that wig, where'd you get it from? I'm like, yeah, here's a link. So literally, I think if you have a with me or us, if you have any questions on how we got things or where we got things, we love to answer them and spread the knowledge to everyone, because cosplay is for everybody.
Yeah, I don't always post links on my Instagram photos, but if you DM me, I will link you if I got something on the internet.
Go ahead.
I'm curious for each of you, what were your favorite cosplays to date?
Favorite cosplay to date. I said I've been doing this for over 10 years now. Honey, do you know what one favorite cosplay would be?
I want to say it was Birds of Prey Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Our partner was a freaking mess.
So yeah, Birds of Prey Harley Quinn with the big confetti jacket.
That was
That's
so much confetti.
it was that one I actually handmade. That one was a nightmare because it's so much tinsel. But I put so much love in my costume, and I have a really fancy wig for that one, and got it custom made for me that I love. So, what's you?
Yennefer is one of my favorites. I think I made her really well. I put in a lot of time, and I think it did show. It was one of those pieces where like, I'm gonna go ham, and it worked. Recently, my Glinda ball gown was amazing, just because the kids love it, and that's so cool. There was a lot of beading and a lot of structure, so a lot to keep my brain and my hands occupied while making it, but it's also so fun to wear, and that's a component that I don't always have, honestly. Kids do not love Yennefer, I don't know why.
When you're making cosplay, I find that immediately my brain starts drifting, and so I have to put something on in the background even if I'm not paying attention to it. Do you guys focus fully in, or is there a bunch of books.
Game soundtracks.
I have horrible ADHD as well. I need to, but right now it's K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm like, oh, movie, like, so I need sound as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Claire Obscure soundtrack.
Sorry. No, that's yeah, absolutely. Someone hand over there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I love cosplaying really niche characters that have very little references to go off of. I'm very aware of this. And sometimes it's really hard because there's like maybe one shot from one frame or one's from a book that doesn't even have a visual appearance. I was wondering if you have any tips for when there are very few like canon references for a character.
Yeah, sure. So I said I like Harley Quinn a lot. So I know when the Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad came out, they had like one outfit, and I was like just like one screenshot and like hyper zooming in on things, and just use what you can, and if you can't, make it up. Like unless you really want accuracy, make it up. I said I think Harley Quinn. I can't see her back in this photo. I bet she has this on her back. And then if you want to upgrade it later on, you can. That's what I would do personally. Just like use what you can, and if you really don't care about the complete screen accuracy, do what makes you feel happy.
Yeah, I am probably not, I think B is a better person to ask about that just because I do tend to do costumes that have very intense references already. But one thing that I found, and this is sort of touching on what B already said, one thing that I found is helpful is having a lot of awareness of what else is going on in other media and other times and places besides that specific cosplay. So if you have sort of a handle on this actually looks kind of like, I don't know, like Marie Antoinette. And then you can maybe be inspired by that historical reference, where you're like, oh, this cosplayer actually did this in a really clever way. I like that. And then you refer to them for the build. So I think having, being able to broaden and see what other people are doing and see what other people did in the past can be really helpful in terms of getting that inspiration to go and be creative yourself.
I know by from Arcane, people just saw the bottom of the arm tattoos, not the full back. So everyone before season 2. So okay, they just end up drawing whatever design I thought was cool that fit in the universe that for by, and they find out later on season 2 that she has a full back piece. But yeah, just do what you think fits the character, honestly. Question? Go ahead.
Do you have any beginner tips for people who are getting into sewing?
I suddenly forgot everything I know about sewing. So number one tip is super general and not just about sewing. It's knowing your learning style. My learning style happens to be very text and image based. So I've found that what I've retained the most has been from blogs. That I was just reading people's journal entries from 10 years ago about this costume they made from Pirates of the Caribbean, and for some reason that had a really big impact on me, and it sank in. And so seeking out that type of information, whether it's video format or Googling, Google sucks now, seeking out that type of information is my first step. But there's just so many different challenges that you can find, and I have become, I've really gotten into the habit of how to do a buttonhole, and then finding that specific thing when I realize that I do need to do a buttonhole. Even if I've done it before, I just keep referring back. Were there any specific challenges? You were like corsetry or I don't know, trim. What are you thinking about?
I just wanted to, in the future, when we're doing stuff with sewing, if they were relying on running into table stuff.
I can barely sew. Like I said, my friend Dan over there, he asked me to make a tunic Obi-Wan, and I was like, okay. So, but patterns for someone who it's literally instructions. I find finding a pattern has been insanely helpful for someone who is still learning to sew, because it literally tells you exactly where to cut the fabric, exactly how much seam allowance is, where to fold, etc. So for me, I need that step-by-step instructions. So using basic patterns, start small. Start with a shirt, a cloak. I made a cloak, and I was like, I made a cloak. yeah, like, you know, something that's a little more simple, so you can still have that like beginning and start to how to sew. So
Yeah, I do tend to be, sorry, I really like this question. I do tend to be very research-based in the approach, but it occurred to me that I should say, just do it, right? Like, even if it's not going to be perfect the first time, it's never perfect. It's never perfect. And just getting your hands dirty and seeing how things work and seeing how the fabric goes together and is on your body, and like if there are any issues, then it can be easier then to narrow down onto specific problems that you want to solve, and just do it.
I want to learn how to like find a wig and style it. Is there something you'd recommend for people who are new with wigs? Like, do not do this or do this with wigs.
you're asking the wrong person.
I actually have a resource on that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I have it on me.
There is some, like, I know for example, some wigs stylists on Instagram who will show you not full step-by-step instructions, but like, you know, roughly how to get the fluffy like deku wig, or like, you know, how to style a certain way. I personally am just big into lace fronts because they look a little better, look a little more professional, and they're actually like it's not like maybe $10 more than a hard one. It's really not that much more expensive, and Amazon has a slew of them for like pretty inexpensive. So when it comes to like very big anime wigs, not really can help you there. But when it comes to less super styled stuff, I recommend a nice lace front and some teasing and some gotta love got to be some hairspray.
I have my own favorites of like things that I've seen do it over the years. I'm not a wig expert, I'm not really, but if you want to see real like amazing experts, Cowbutt Crunchies has at least one YouTube tutorial. They're local, and they go in depth on how to do wig styling. So they, YouTube for Cowbutt Crunchies.
And Kamui Cosplay
Kamui
sells a
Cosplay.
series of
Uh-huh.
books, and one of them is entirely on wig styling.
Yes, thank you. Pose Wigs, actually, not sponsored. It's a US-based wig company. They actually do some tutorials of doing more natural wigs, and they are on Instagram. I've really liked it. So yes, Cowbutt Crunchies, YouTube. Kamui Cosplay on like everywhere, and Pose Wigs, just because like that's like a little personal favorite. I've learned some wig application tips from them on Instagram.
You're back.
The backpack.
Back. Yes.
How much does being able to wash the cosplay after you perform it factor into making the cosplay?
You watch cosplays? Just kidding, don't. So for me, not particularly. I wear them pretty infrequently. But we love a good Lysol spray that really helps. There is tips to how to clean. I think Silhouette actually has a nice.
Yes, in the panel directly after this, I'm pretty sure this cleaning tip will be covered, because theater costumes do like the super intensive versions of sweat through a specific costume and then clean it for the next night. So the vodka trick from theater costuming is something that I use, and that is like vodka, and you like the percentage varies. I've seen different ones, but you spray it with vodka, and it kills the bacteria that causes odor, and it evaporates pretty quickly, and that can help for non-washable costumes. I also tend to use natural fibers next to my skin and like finish the seams of skin layers so that I can either hand wash them or even put them through the washer, and sort of design that specific thing, like this bodysuit that I have is cotton, and all of the seams inside are finished. So when I'm done with this bodysuit, which is right next to the skin, I'm gonna throw it in the wash, and that's okay. That was planned. But this jacket and this cape with like finicky painted details, they're not next to my skin. I'm not going to wash them. Maybe I'll give them a little spray. So yeah, just not washing is actually okay for a lot of costume pieces, barring accident.
We got speed run. Okay, who's next? Go. Yes, you.
Okay, so now that Joanne's like doesn't exist anymore,
Oof.
any recommendations on where I can get patterns or websites for it?
Actually, Amelia helped so much with this one. So for my friend Danny's Obi costume, I was like, oh, sugar, we need a pattern. Joanne's all closed. What am I gonna do? And I text her. She's like, go on the website. You can buy the PDF and print it off at home. I'm like, you can do that? So yeah, actually you can print it off at home, which is extremely helpful for a lot of the prints.
I'm a big commercial pattern user. The big four are Simplicity, McCall's, Butterick, Vogue. They all have one website, and they do now do PDF printable versions of many of their patterns.
Okay.
How do you organize things both physically and like planning things out for a new project?
I love a good bin. Honestly, for example, this whole costume, including the petticoats underneath the tattoos and the wig, are in a bin together. So I know, oh, I want to do this Harley Quinn. I pull it out. It's all there. But I know space gets hard, especially in like smaller closets and stuff. People do sell like the fabric, the garment bags. You can do all the same things as well.
Were you talking organization after the costume is made or during the process? During. The tip is actually similar. I try to keep all of the materials in the same box or whatever, just so I'm like, oh yeah, these are the fabrics that I was going to make for this coat, and I'd like pull them all out of the same box and put them back in. But also there's not, like, I'm not the best person for organization tips. It explodes eventually.
Are there any pieces or anything that you can reuse for other cosplays?
Oh, absolutely. This wig I've used in other Harley Quinns. I know, for example, with belts, she did the boots she set up her costume. You can definitely use a lot of pieces, which is very helpful, especially if you spend money on things like a really nice wig.
Yeah, reusable wigs and wigs borrowed from friends are key.
That's my wig.
Also belts. I just have a collection of belts.
Any other questions? Rebecca?
What would both of you say is like the most common issue you run into with various different cosplays?
Most common issue.
Skill issue.
Yeah, actually, yes.
So for me, the skill issue is wigs. I just have a tough time with wigs, and I really have to devote a lot of time in planning and maybe planning in to ask a friend for their time to help me. That is my most common issue. It's always like how can I get over this obstacle that I made for myself based on the skills I have, the skills that I can obtain, and the skills I can sort of borrow from my friends.
Same with me, sometimes it's like, I found a costume I love, but it's not quite as accurate as I want it to be. So I'm like, oh, I wish I could like sew a pair of pants. It's that kind of, I don't have the skills for it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just take this and I'll modify the best I can to get as close to accurate as possible. Or I showed my credit card in the commissioner's face and I'm like, just sew for me, please. To the wigs I can't style to save my life. So I tend to also commission a lot of people who are much more talented than I am when it comes to wigs. You saw me yesterday, I had a big old rogue wig that was like huge, and that one I commissioned someone in Malaysia for actually, and it was incredible.
Thank you all so much. Is it okay if I take a photo of you? And yeah, okay. No, not okay? If you don't want a photo, please leave.
She says so politely.
Or go down, hide. Okay, this is your warning.